I just want more people to know about what is this investing thing about and how there is a right way to do it, because there is so much noise. There is so much jargon that is confusing and overwhelming. Something that I didn't know before is like how good women are with investing. And this is something that it is contrary to what we were made to believe.
What would you say was one of the biggest mistakes you made? Welcome to the next episode of the ADR Chat. Now, in this episode, we're sitting down with the inspiring mind behind This Mama Invests, Malu Marsault. Now, she's got a platform that's actually redefining what it means to take control of your finances, whether that is as a parent or as a woman. And she'll be today sharing her personal journey, how she's really got into investing and offering some real personal advice that would really help you start your investing journey. So welcome, Malu.
Thank you so much, Asha. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. I mean, this is a subject that I think every lady that I've spoken to in the last few months has talked to me about, wish they'd sort of got into investing. How do I know how they can get into investing? So it's a real sort of prominent subject for us at the moment. So I thought I'd give a little explanation as to why you're here. Now, you're based in Doha, but you are in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, with a boot camp. And it's called Ready, Set, Invest Bootcamp.
Yes,
so
exactly.
We're lucky to get a little bit of time with you, but you're here to sort of impart your knowledge with the residents of Abu Dhabi personally and live. So it's amazing. So I think let's start with just tell us a little bit about who you are, how This Mama Invests came to life.
I don't have a financial background to start with. My background is more in hospitality, and I was just like a normal, a person that comes here to the GCC with, the possibility to have a job, a higher paying job, no taxes, etc. But then I realized in 2020 that we were not financially there, even though we were following the normal, the script that we get in society. You need to work hard. You need to find a good job and then save your money, and then everything is going to be all right. And I realized that was not the case, because in 2020, COVID, I found myself pregnant with our third child, and the hotel where I was working was closing for the public. That hotel got like an agreement with the Ministry of Public Health to receive positive patients of COVID. So we were lucky to keep our salaries. I was in the sales department, but we were sent home because there was nothing to sell. The hotel was closed to the public. So at that moment, seeing the uncertainty of the moment. So when I told my husband that, hey, I'm pregnant, and by the way, I don't know what's going to happen with my job, he being also in hospitality, he's a chef, and hospitality was deemed a non-essential business, and we were seeing how all other hotels were literally laying people by masses. So it was a moment of a lot of uncertainty, and so my husband was a little bit stressed out, and his stress kind of transferred, it made me realize, okay, if I don't do anything, we might just live stressed out the whole time. So for me, that was the moment where I decided, okay, we need to do something. It's either I just accept that we are going to live based on what is the circumstances, that the circumstances are going to be taking control of our financial future, or I can find out what to do, because my main reason, my why was my family, and I didn't want to continue with cycles of scarcity. I grew up with a very hard financial situation growing up. So I was afraid that we would keep those cycles of scarcity. So that's the moment, the turning point where I decided I need to find out what we're doing wrong. Because from my understanding, we're doing what everyone expects us to do. So, and that is the moment where I started digging, and I started asking people who were in finance. My sister-in-law, she's an economist with a master's degree in finance. She was the first person I asked, but she didn't know how to invest. Then I asked the director of finance in my hotel.
Yeah, they would know.
Yeah, but he just said, "Oh, it's super easy. I'll send you a link." And that's it. And I never received any link. And because I was like handling the, in sales, we divide by segment, by sectors. I was handling finance and banking. So I knew people in like banks and financial institutions. They would be great to offer services to others, but they were not investing themselves. So I realized there was like a gap between what the traditional education is giving you, which is preparing you to make money for corporations, but not on a personal side. So there was even for those with a financial background. So that's why I started digging into like, how can I learn? So I decided to, sign up with a coach, like with a person who is very successful. I took several coaching programs to learn because, I realized the self-education, looking for someone who is having the results that I want to have, is going to be a shortcut instead of me trying to figure it out, from YouTube or from people who really don't really have the experience.
Okay. So that's really interesting because you talked about the fact that we're traditionally taught how to make other people rich, let's say, really, right?
Yes.
How to make other people successful. So you talked about sort of learning that, but what was your relationship with money growing up? Were you from an affluent background? How did that work for you?
No. So my family, I come from Peru, from a medium to lower middle class. I would say maybe like a little bit lower than medium to lower, but it was a lot of hardship. My parents working really hard to make very little money. At some point, my dad decided to financially disengage with the family, and that was at the moment where I was finishing high school and about to enter university. So the first year, all my friends went to university and I couldn't. My parents were struggling to pay for electricity, water, and even hot water. And at that point, my mom was on her own. At 41 years old, she decided to quit her small business and go to work as a nanny in the US. In really like not great conditions, like overworked, underpaid. All she had to her name was $40. That was all she had to her name and the clothes that she was wearing. For me, that's, I didn't know this, by the way, until last year when she told me, because I feel like she didn't want to stress us out.
So did she leave you in Peru while she went to the US?
Yes.
Wow.
So after I finished high school, she wanted me and my brother to study in university. In Peru or in many countries, if you don't get studies, like you are stuck and you can end up in poverty. So she decided to make that change, to do whatever is in her hands, whatever is possible for her kids, for us. So, that's my background, and I take that as an example of, the end it worked out, right? Like I managed to study, to follow my studies with like some sort of like a normalcy, because I didn't know to the extent of the conditions that my mom, like she was hiding that from us. I think she didn't want us to really stress about that. And, but like, I think about like how like important and changing is the decision of one person, like as a parent, or just for us, even if it's not for kids, but one decision can change so much the financial trajectory of of your life, and so for other people as well.
Yeah, I totally. And would you say that now your decision to sort of get into investing and learning about it yourself has changed the trajectory for you?
Definitely, 100%. So the moment I started seeing there is this lack of information, and in traditional education, people don't get this, people don't learn that. So I decided, okay, I want to share with other people. Like it would be selfish from myself if I knew like something that really can change people's life and I wouldn't be sharing it. And, I also think I wish my mom knew other techniques. For me, it's like very touching because I know like how moms we are willing to do like so many things, even beyond our capabilities, to stretch ourselves like in such a way for other people, and very often leaving ourselves at the bottom of the priority. And I know that if my mom had more knowledge, more information, more tools, it would have been easier for her. And I know that financial education can truly accelerate and take the weight off your shoulders as a mom, as a person that is, very often, expats here in the GCC, they are having the weight of 3 generations, helping their parents back home, trying to figure out a retirement for themselves and secure a financial future for their kids. So that is a lot, and saving alone is not going to cut it. And so dealing with that is a lot of, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal. So I just want more people to know about what is this investing thing about, and how there is a right way to do it, because there is so much noise. There is so much jargon that is confusing and overwhelming. And so that's how this Mama Invest was born, just to to add to the first question that you asked me. And this is how everything started.
Okay. So let's get into it then, if we're going to talk about investing, because, like I said, people ask Abu Dhabi Review a lot of questions about investing, and with the whole recent crashes and, it was time to start investing your money into different companies. How do you even go about it, right? So I think if somebody's a beginner, or if somebody's even listening today and isn't a beginner or is a beginner and wants to start investing but feels a little bit overwhelmed, because as you said, there is so much noise out there, this is a very broad question, where should they begin?
Right. I think the right way to begin is learning. And I think it's just like driving a car. Like, you're not going to just go into a car and try your chance without learning. I mean, it's important to learn what to do, how to get from point A to point Z, safely. And so when it comes to investing, there is a very beginner-friendly way to do it, which is buying a basket of stocks that follow a broad index. Like, for example, an index is like a number that is going to represent a lot of companies. So, for example, in the USA, there is the S&P 500 that will group 500 of the biggest companies in the US. And so that is one of the indexes that are very it is regarded, it is followed. Like, many people look at it as a way to see how the overall financial markets are doing. So, and because historically has always gone up, there is a team behind, the S&P Standard & Poor, that every quarter they are looking into the components and removing outperformance and adding overperformers to keep the performance always growing. So in the last more than 100 years, the average growth is 10%. on average, like how much the banks are giving us.
Yes, correct.
So sometimes it's like barely keeping up with inflation, depending on the bank, depending on the agreement. But so following an index, it's really like hands off and is very it's suitable for any regular everyday investor.
Okay. So a lot of questions that people have is, okay, I have some money, but how much really as a beginner investor? And, you know, I'm going to ask this from a stay-at-home mum perspective because, you know, a lot of our audience are mums who aren't working, looking after the kids. They don't necessarily have a disposable income of their own, let's say, their own money. But what would you say to anybody who's thinking of investing in terms of the question is, how much do I need to invest with?
Right. So anyone can start with any amount. And something that some, so let's say if there is like a stay-at-home mom that would like to help the family's money grow, one way that I actually did with my husband when there was a period of time between I resigned from my job and I was actually being able to make money on my own. There was like a gap. And at that moment, we divided responsibilities. He would be the one making the money and I would be the one growing the money and managing the finances at home, which is a crucial role. And so I was multiplying that money. And so, you know, like, because really, it is important to have a source of income to invest in, because otherwise, like, if we don't have a source of income and we want to make money in the stock market, that would involve a different strategy, which is called trading. Which is very different from investing. Investing has a more long-term view where we put money in like the savings. Instead of having them parked in a savings account, we can park them in an investment account so that they grow faster. But it's important to have regular contributions. So with trading, it's more where, you know, like people that are spending hours in front of the computer trying to buy and sell is super stressful. People tend to take loans from the broker itself, because otherwise the amount that they would make would be like too small. And so taking that loan, that carries a lot of risk and is stressful. And also that is, you are trading your time for money, because if you are not on your computer doing the thing, you are not going to get anything. The point of view of investing is more passive income, and passive income is something that we all need to grow, to create in order to become financially free. It's not just more active income, is actually passive income, letting the money create more money in the long term without our intervention.
Okay. So, because that can be a scary concept, right? Money's coming in that pays for school, pays for housing, and then you have savings, because everybody does have savings. That's, again, what we're taught. You should have savings, right? It's quite a scary thought to then go, I'm going to take $3,000 or something and invest that into somewhere, when you don't really have the tools necessarily. So are there any misconceptions that people have that you can sort of say, actually, this is not right when it comes to investing?
Right. That it is one of the biggest misconceptions is that it is extremely risky and that you are going to lose all your money. And it's a genuine fear, to be honest. I think like part of the fear also comes from, when investing isn't discussed around, and in the time of our parents, there was no internet. So investing was really like much harder. There was like probably family, friends that were not investing. So the concept by itself, it sounds like Chinese. So the stock market doesn't have to be risky. Like we don't have to take more risk than we can afford. And when we know when we know our risk tolerance, and then we build an investment account based on that, then, it's not going to be, you're not going to lose all your money. People who are losing their money, typically they don't have a strategy. They are just buying things from whatever they hear on social media, on YouTube. Like, there is all over the place, like articles that say, buy this stock and you're going to be rich in 2025. And so people go and buy because of the, the possibility of becoming rich overnight. But that doesn't usually work like that. When you know your risk tolerance, and your risk tolerance is the combination between your ability to take a risk. Your ability to take a risk is like financially, like, is your net worth positive? Is your cash flow positive? Do you have an emergency fund? And then your willingness to take a risk. So it's two components: your ability to take a risk and your willingness to take a risk, because you can have the funds, but maybe, like emotionally, you don't want to, like it would be a little bit hard to see your account down for, in the normal market fluctuation. So it's these two components. Maybe, like a new mom is not going to feel like wants to take that much risk, because it's not just her, but it's her family. So it takes into consideration a lot of personal aspects that is going to make the overall risk tolerance of a person. So as long as we are investing according to our personal risk tolerance, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of that. I think if you have an emergency fund and then you're sort of living off what the rest of your earnings, I think there is that fear. What would you say to people who potentially want to start investing? What are your favorite tools or your favorite apps? Because listening to what you said in terms of the emotional part of it, but also having the funds to be able to do it, does that mean then that you need to have a strategy? Because, you talked about the fact that people hear it on Instagram or whatever, oh, you should invest in this company. But how important is it? Well, that's probably a silly question. Is it important to have a strategy? Or do you think, before you start, is my question, or do you think it's something that you can learn as you go along?
I think it is important to learn first, build a strategy, and then, start investing, because otherwise it really just becomes very risky, and it comes with the confidence as well. So yes, there are certain baskets of stocks that will be like low risk, but then we don't want to have exposure on only one thing, because we don't want to. For example, the S&P 500 will give you only investments within the USA. So that is geographically concentrated in one area, right? So, and we want to, depending on what is our goal, we want to create a strategy that will allow us to reach that goal. Some people will start just investing any amount, and although it is fine to invest as much as we can, it is important to have a certainty about, like, is this going to allow me to reach my ultimate goal? Like, if you want to retire early, like, how much is that number? And how much per month do we need to reach that number? Like, there is a lot of information online that might say you need to invest 10% or 20% of your salary. But there is a missing piece to that, which is, like, when did you have to start doing that in order to achieve that goal? Because if there is not a monetary goal, you might put 20% thinking is best, and then at 60 or 65, maybe you realize it's not going to be enough. So it's important to know what is that number, that is going to allow you to retire on your terms.
Yeah. Okay.
And that comes with a strategy. So if you know your number and then you do certain calculations, this is, by the way, something that we actually do during the bootcamp. Everybody knows what is their number, they know the plan, and they know how to reach it.
Amazing. That's a full strategy there almost, right?
Yes. So the moment you know, okay, is investing in 1 or 2 or 3 ETFs is going to help me get there, maybe you need to do certain adjustments. Maybe it's going to be fine, but maybe you need to do certain adjustments if those numbers aren't matching. So that's where you look into how you can accelerate the growth of your investment.
Talking about you starting investing, what would you say was one of the biggest mistakes you made at the start, or even now? I don't know.
One of the biggest mistakes, I would say like one mistake at the very beginning was following what other people were doing. Like, even though I was like learning, I would be caught up in someone say, oh, I just made so much returns with this particular stock. And then I want to say, okay, I'm going to buy 2. And then it didn't go. it didn't keep growing. So that's how I learned, okay, I shouldn't just invest in something just because someone else is having a result. I really need to learn how to do the analysis by myself, how to evaluate if that is suiting my risk tolerance. So that was at the very beginning when I didn't really learn the whole, how it works.
Have you ever gone with your gut?
Well, I think like I'm more of like, I want to have the confidence with real information and more than the gut, I would say.
Like, if you like the name of something, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, with that lesson, I really learned that. And that is something that now I realize that we women have this capacity really locked in because, something that I didn't know before is like how good women are with investing. And this is something that it is contrary to what we were made to believe, that is not our field, that we are bad with money, that we are like overspending all the time and frivolous, etc. But actually, women, we have a great capacity for long-term investment. And that thing that is sometimes like, okay, I want to do my research. I want to know what's going on. So I learned that after that first experience. I'm a human. I jumped in on something that I shouldn't have. And then I realized that, okay, I really need to do my research, my due diligence. And then from then onwards, that's what I kept doing. Like, for instance, it took me, when I started investing in Bitcoin, for example, it took me like about 1 year.
Sorry, what's that called?
On Bitcoin.
Oh, Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yes. It took me like about a year. And even though like older people were investing and say, okay, Bitcoin is now, at the time, like it's going like 15K, 20K. Like right now it's 110. But back then it was like so low. And I was like, no, you need to learn first. And so I read books and I started really learning, because for me, all this crypto space was like Chinese. But then after I felt confident, that's when I decided to take action.
Okay. So that's I think that one of the questions I had was like, how do you sort of manage that emotional side of investing? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the way you manage it is by learning, not panicking and freaking out about it, but actually going, okay, I really need to spend time before I spend my money.
Yes.
Learning about this.
Exactly. Because I don't want to gamble with my financial future. And if we don't have a strategy, it's gambling. Even if it's not in a casino.
Yes.
It would be gambling. Yeah. Just like, throwing money at something with the hopes of that turning into more money. But hope is not a strategy. So yeah, it's really important to know what we're doing, to have a plan, and to really respect that plan despite all the noise that there might be out there. And I think like another important element is to work on the emergency fund first. I really, I think it's really important because if we don't have an emergency fund, we will have more emotional attachment to the money that we have invested. So I am investing money that I don't need in the next 15 years. And when we have an emergency fund, life happens all the time. So if something happens, we don't want to be in a situation where we need to sell our investments, and we don't want to get into debt to cover whatever is happening.
So what in your eyes is a good emergency fund?
So the rule of thumb is 3 months of living expenses, of essential living expenses.
So that's basically rent, food, school, maybe, if you've got a family.
Yes. So basically, like if you think about what would happen if suddenly I don't have income, which was what happened during Corona, like all of a sudden, a lot of people lost their jobs, or, things were stopped, events, and like so much going on that, so if tomorrow I had no income, what do I need to spend money on to keep the well-being of my family? So as you said, we need to pay rent. We need to eat. Probably the school keep going. Maybe there is a car debt that we don't want to stretch. Maybe we have credit card debt. Maybe there is family back home that is depending on us. So it's about like listing what are the essential things that I need to cover. And then we may want to add as well, I don't know, anything else that is important to you. So each situation is going to be different. But the rule of thumb says 3 months of living expenses. So I know that some people are like, for instance, I choose to add like the value of emergency flight tickets, like last minute in high season, just to cover worst case scenarios. How much would that be to go back home on an emergency basis?
That's a great tip, actually, because there are times when we do need to go home. So
yeah, unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So talking about that, because obviously you're a mum of 3 kids. So how do you juggle being a parent and then sort of keeping consistency in your sort of investing goals, if you like? How do you manage both of those? Because I don't know, would you call this a full-time job? Not the coaching part, but if you were to spend your time as a parent or as a mum investing, does it take up hours and hours of your time?
So I think I will spend not many hours. Every end of the month, I will just do my transfers from my bank to my brokerage accounts. And for my kids, I just I buy normally like I use a technique called dollar cost average, which means that every month I'm going to just buy at the current market price of an asset that I'm choosing, of a stock or this basket of stocks. So for my kids, that's what I do just once a month. It takes me a few minutes. For Bitcoin, I do the same thing. It just takes me literally a few minutes to do that, to buy my monthly amount of Bitcoin. For my other account, sometimes I buy at the market price. Sometimes I set certain automations to buy at lower prices. And yeah, I might look, perhaps like once a week or something, if there is, something happens, like, when Trump announced the tariffs and everything went down, I would go and I kept a little bit of cash for those moments. So I would go and buy things on sale.
Yeah.
But I'm not there like on a daily basis or religiously on a weekly basis. No, I take just a few hours.
I think that's important to know, because I think sometimes I know friends who were checking it constantly to see whether it's going up or down. Should I sell? Should I not? Should I buy some more of this? And actually, they felt that it was taking a lot of their time up. Mm-hmm. So it's good to know that you actually don't. Again, I think it goes back to you having the strategy, right?
Yes.
And knowing that this is how you're going to play it and this is how you're going to plan it. So it's obviously not taking up too much time away from family time. Are you already teaching your kids about, how old, sorry, I didn't ask how old they were, all three of them.
4, 6 and 8.
Okay, so the 8-year-old, is this something you're starting to have conversations about with them?
Yes, definitely. I talk about money with my kids. I want them to be involved in, like certain money decisions that we make. For example, when we are going on vacations, I tell them we are planning these vacations and we are like planning how much we are going to put aside each month. We have made a calculation about how much is the airplane, how much is going to be the car rental, how much is going to be like all the things. And then every month I'm doing my math. You're learning math at school. So we have a big number and now we want to divide. And then every month I'm going to be adding to a special account. So I'm like walking through that. And also like without talking about money, like I always highlight moments where it can teach them delay gratification. Because investing is about delay gratification. It's about doing something today, but to enjoy tomorrow, right? So it's not spending all the money today. It's like we are putting money aside. It's like a sacrifice that we're doing, but for a better good tomorrow. So whenever there is a possibility, is like for example, they love playing in the iPad, like Roblox. And so I would tell them, okay, do you want to do now? And you will have like half an hour. But if you wait like later, because they are 3, they want to have their timings, right? Everyone wants to have the iPad first. And they say, if you wait, if you are the last one, then you're going to have a little more time. So in a way, that is, like delay gratification. I wait for a bigger reward.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think kids nowadays don't, do they? Most things, if I really want this, okay. In the most part, especially living here, they kind of get it very quick. And when we were young, we said we wanted something for our birthday, and our birthday could be 8 months and you'd be waiting 8 months for it. And nowadays I think, oh gosh, she just got that, I've got a daughter and I'm like, oh, she got that the following week, and I think that it's absolutely right that you're teaching them that, because yes, investing is exactly the same. And it's not necessarily invest today and get it tomorrow. It could be in 3 years' time or 5 years' time.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I think that's a great way of doing that.
And one more thing that I want to involve my 8-year-old in doing. So I told him that the best way for them to learn about money is to actually handle money. Instead of just being theoretical. So but I don't want to give like, just like a weekly allowance for just existing. Yeah. So I'm going to start teaching him like to track our expenses so that he can do the data entry job. Like actually, having a task that he is responsible for. And I know that he's fully capable of doing it because, okay, restaurant, I don't know, cheesecake factory, I don't know, like 100 dirhams. Okay.
Definitely. That's just for one cheesecake.
Yeah. And I don't know, like a trampoline, this much. And then he needs to add. And so I think like that is going to give him like a little bit more of consciousness about how we need to manage our money. So that's something that I'm planning to implement like in the next couple of weeks.
That's fantastic, actually. I think that would be something I might try and implement in my house as well, because they don't realize that a tennis lesson will cost 260 dirhams or whatever it is. And, I don't want to go today. But if you don't go, then I lose 260 dirhams. And it's like, oh, what do you mean? And she's starting to understand that now. Mm-hmm. What, 260 dirhams? I'm like, yeah, what's in your purse right now? And she's like, 150. I'm like, yeah. So double that pretty much. And that's how much I'll lose if you don't go. So I think these lessons are really important, especially for expat kids, because the majority of them do get what they want without doing much.
Exactly.
These are, I mean, honestly, they're great tips for the next generation. So I wanted to ask you, because I think investing, yes, it's about money, but how has it changed your life outside of money?
In such a big way, because number one, I feel more in control of my whole life. And because I was seeing the effects of, I take it really like a self-love moment, because you are taking care of your future self. And that started to motivate me into do other activities that are also self-love, like going to the gym, like after 3 kids, like it was hard. I know that a lot of moms will relate. So for me, it was quite hard to I wanted to get, like back into, in a better shape. I haven't accomplished that yet, but I actually started doing, just not because of the shape, but I wanted to start doing more things that will set an example. So, but I mean, definitely I was chasing that feel good feeling of like when I'm investing, I feel good. And then I wanted to chase that feel good in, like, in the health part. At the same time, I realized that our kids, they learn from what we do, not from what we say. So besides the active, like teaching, they would look at the things that I do. So I want to be the person that can have like a balance in different areas of life. Like I work, I take care of the future, I take care of myself. So for that, like I think it helped a lot, and it also helped with my husband. Like I think it really brought a connection, because like we were plan, like in order to plan for our financial future, we needed to set common goals. Very often one person spends, the other one wants to save, and if there is no connection, there might be money fights, and fighting about money is like a leading cause of divorce. So aligning ourselves and setting goals together, then it will and like I have a monthly money date with my husband where we discuss where we stand compared to the goals that we set at the beginning of the year. And then we discuss like upcoming big expenses, like summer trip or any other vacations that we're planning. So just talking, being very transparent about, like sharing our finances. I mean, not everyone has to share, but in the way we are deciding to manage, like it really brought us closer together, I feel.
Yeah. And I think they're very grown-up conversations, aren't they, really? These are things that suddenly it just creeps up on you that actually we should have planned all of that. So I can imagine how fulfilling that is outside of just making the money part of it.
Yes.
100%. So there's a couple of other questions I had for you. I think we'll go with this one in case we run out of time. But what are some of your favorite tools or apps or platforms that beginners could use? Somebody who's thought about it but doesn't even know where to start. And I think that's the first step, right? Who do I go with? What do I do?
Yeah. So for investing, I really like interactive brokers. I think they are a great platform that gives non-US citizens the possibility to invest and have exposure to the US stock market, and not just US stock market, but it gives you possibility to invest in other countries as well, in other geographical locations. And I think they're great because their fees are quite low, and they give you possibilities to invest in there are certain basket of stocks that have a different domicile. How can I explain this? Like super easy. So there are certain basket of stocks that are gonna be for example, instead of based in the USA, they're going to be based in Ireland, for example, and that will give us better tax advantages for non-US citizens. So Interactive Brokers is a platform that will give you access to that. I have tried, for my kids, I have Charles Schwab, but they don't give you access to those type of products. I don't think the platform is that user-friendly. So yeah, I think Interactive Brokers is a great option, and they have like a big list of nationalities that are, accepted to open an account.
Okay. All right. And any others that you could think of?
So I like Seeking Alpha. That is another investing website and app to help with research about companies. I like Yahoo Finance as well. That is a free website that will give you a lot of good insights about funds. I mean, this basket of stocks. Where to get updates as well.
We can talk a little bit about your bootcamp, because I know that you have the bootcamp today, and obviously this podcast will come out after the bootcamp happens. First, I suppose the question is, will you be coming back to Abu Dhabi? And what's next for This Mama Invests? Mm-hmm. And also, 3 questions. How can people find out about or get your help or find out about what's happening with you?
Possibly we can come back to Abu Dhabi. We're going to see like how this experience go this time. I usually do this in Dubai, like on a monthly basis. So either in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi, this is like the proximity that people can access, or in Doha if they are over there.
Do you offer it online?
Yes. I also have I just launched like a couple of days ago, the same bootcamp experience, but as an on-demand. So people can go through the entire experience, at their own time. But there is a catch. I give 7 days for them to complete, because, there is sometimes when the access is unlimited, there is unlimited procrastination as well. And I don't want course collectors to think, okay, this is just nice information, because information does not change your life, action does. So this is
it's like you're talking to me.
I am that person too. Like I've bought like a course to like do better things to my hair. It is there. And another one for YouTube, and it's there.
This collecting
is the thing. Dust.
Yes. No, not collecting money, collecting dust.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't want our money to be collecting dust at the bank. We need to take action. And I know that there might be like a lot of fears, but really like getting the right knowledge and having like people that are going to support you do that step is going to be really like transformative. Like I've seen people go from being scared with numbers, not even knowing how to do international bank transfer, or like really like completely disengaged with money, to grow the portfolio to 6 figures and feel like totally confident. You see, like asking quality questions, they are able to have a strategy and know what is good for them or not. So they jump from not knowing where to start to I manage my own money is so powerful. And I'm going to tell you one thing that it's, like crazy. Sometimes when we don't know, how to invest and we give our money to a company or another person, these money managers, like that lack of knowledge would not even let you evaluate, are they doing a good job? And I had that case. One of my students told me last week that she was investing with this company, and she was paying, she was being given products like this S&P 500, but with a fund that would charge like 1.8%, which is a lot. Normally it costs 0.03%. So they are just giving her a higher price product because they get a commission. And on top of that, I mean, there were other other funds, other products that were very expensive, and you can find the equivalent with a lower price. And also they would charge another percentage for the financial firm and like $85 for the financial planner and the financial advisor. And so the performance was not much, and she was paying a lot of money to them. So very often, like financial companies, and this is one of the dark secrets of the financial industry, they will make money of your ignorance, of your lack of information. So there is no push for people, like banks will not educate us on how to invest, how to make the most out of our money, because they want you to put your money with them. They want you to believe your money is very safe at the bank, in a normal account, instead of, or if you want to invest through them, it must be through them.
Yeah.
And with, of course, like much higher fees, and they just don't have your best interest at heart.
So better to do it yourself.
It's much better to, it's not that hard. And I am absolutely convinced that anyone can do it, especially women. We have that superpower.
Would that be your piece of advice? If every woman who's listening today, what would be your sort of last piece of advice? Trust you can do it. This is meant for you. And if there is a curiosity of like, will that work for me? Like, yes, it will work for you. It will work for you. Like, we are innately, like, we are really good with money. That is, if anyone made you believe that you are not, it was a lie. And it was for the convenience of other people. That's a great way to end it, to be honest. But if people want to find you on Instagram, it's This Mama Invests.
Yes.
And do you have any other ways that people can contact you, or is the Instagram the best way?
Yeah, Instagram would be the best way. I'm on Instagram and TikTok with the same handle, This Mama Invests.
Are you doing TikTok dances?
Yes.
Oh, I'm definitely going to go and check those out as well. You know, a new finance dance.
Yes, I like a little bit more relaxed, let's say, on TikTok.
Okay, well, we'll definitely everybody go and follow the TikTok as well. We might be doing some trending dances that Malu comes up with. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us on the ADR Chat, and we'll be back next time.
Thank you so much, Asha.
No worries. Thank you.